Bam! What is going on? Kaboom! Look who stepped into the room. What is going on, my people? How you doing? I know Prescott, you were showing some love there for the intro music, man. So I'm glad you are feeling it, my friends. What is going on, everybody? My name is Ozeal. I like to say that I am the host that loves you the most. And we're here with Podcast Influence. We're going live on Pod Houston. So if you are tuning in from the Pod Houston Facebook group, give me a shout. Let me know how you feeling, how you doing in the chat room. Also, we're going live on YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen, and we're going live officially. We got approved. Officially going live on LinkedIn. So if you are tuning in, and I haven't really been much on LinkedIn. Have you been guys been playing with LinkedIn? I know there's some serious like content creation, sharing happening on LinkedIn. I have a bunch of friends that are crushing it on LinkedIn. So we are making what's going on. Somebody says sup, Ozeal. Apparently, I'm seeing Facebook user. So you have to give StreamYard permission to show your screen or your username rather. So make sure, because I want to know who I'm talking to, or you could just leave your name, and that way I know who I'm vibing with right now. So good morning, good morning. So LinkedIn, once again, shout out to LinkedIn. On my LinkedIn connects, I want to do and plan on doing a lot more native content on LinkedIn. I know LinkedIn live stream has been hot right now. I have a few friends that are crushing it with LinkedIn. So I'm really excited to kind of dig into that platform as well. But, we're multicasting, and that's the beauty of this era of this whole live streaming podcasting is now we have the technology, and it's so easy to multicast on different platforms so we can connect with different people. Because some people like LinkedIn, some people like Facebook. And of course, we got our people out in YouTube who are following Podcast Influence. So shout out to all my peeps. Okay, so what's going on, man? Jesus Ortiz in the house. I have a bit that I've been going live in there, but I also need to start working on LinkedIn also. Jesus, LinkedIn, I know you're big into live streaming, buddy. That is a platform where I see a lot of organic growth. So again, I have a ton of friends that are just focused on live streaming on LinkedIn, and they are crushing it. I mean, there's a lot of, professionals, there are a lot of serious players on that platform. So as a content creator, as people of different professions, whether it's podcast consulting or LinkedIn or just a content creator period, I think it's smart, especially if you're a podcaster, to experiment and try out LinkedIn so you can get out there and connect with new people. So yes, my man, that is something for you to consider and checking out. Cool. All right. So listen, first and foremost, happy Tuesday, my friends. Happy Tuesday. I am apparently this is where the cosmos are shining down on us. It's a very blissful time. The only time that we'll have in our lifetime that's 2 2 2 2 2. So if you're into like numerology and all that, I mean this might be a good day for you to play the lotto. I don't know. Might get lucky. I might play the lotto. Shoot. So anyhow, so definitely happy Tuesday. 222. Jesus says, yo, that's my favorite number. Me too, man. Me too. I love that. So happy 222222. There you go. Yes. Happy Tuesday. We'll keep it simple. Jesus. Today's play the lotto, bro. Play the lotto. You never know. You may get lucky today. You may get lucky. All right. So again, if you are tuning in, I know we're going to get some people on the replay. We're going to get people coming and going. So if you're checking out the live stream, first and foremost, thank you so much. This is my second time this year doing live streaming in the Pod Houston group, and actually live streaming period. And it's something that I want to start doing every Monday. So I want to show up every Monday to share a tip, to maybe share a thought, to kind of motivate your Monday, right? I feel like Mondays is a good day to live stream, to kind of kick things going and get it moving. Although, wait a minute. Today's not Monday, right? Is today Monday? Wait a minute. I'm tripping. Is today Monday, guys? No, today's Tuesday. Hello, Ozeal. Well, maybe Tuesday. Tuesday is a good day, right? It's still in the beginning of the week. What's going on, Facebook user? I see you. I don't know your name, so please share your name at least in the comment section. Yes, Tuesday. Thank you. So I can say hello. Thank you for the reminder. My mind. I had two and a half cups of coffee, and I'm drinking my tea right now. So check out my mug, y'all. This is like my favorite mug. It just makes me happy. My little emoji goofy mug. So cheers. 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 All right. All right. So let's go ahead. Nick, of course, Nick Stevenson in the house, fellow podcaster. Great pod, by the way, Nick and crew with with our very own Dr. Richard Harris. So definitely check that out. Post that link. I think you posted it in the Friday Freeform thread. So great podcast with a fellow insider. And yeah, Richard is a dope dude. So I'm glad that you guys were able to connect and make that happen. And let's see, 1 second. I'm here still trying to navigate this StreamYard. Okay, guys. So this is what we're going to do today. Today, my friends, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna do something different. So one of the things that I want to do with the live stream, as I mentioned earlier, I want to do, share some thoughts, maybe like one idea, maybe a tip, strategy that you can implement with your podcast growth. But also, why not like just share, put some slides together as well, and then share some things with you. Of course, this will be repurposed into a YouTube video. This is the reason why I'm doing this, but also because I love doing it live and I just like flowing. Like I've noticed something. I was talking to a friend of mine recently where we're talking about, video creation, and I started a YouTube channel about a year ago. Fell off. It was just a lot of work. Video editing thing is really not my jam. I'm definitely a lot more comfortable behind the mic, but I started thinking about, ways to be more efficient with content creation because I do believe as podcasters, as creators, video plays a major role in what we do, right? The visibility, giving people the visual aspect of our content. And YouTube is a whole different sandbox. Like I really love the YouTube platform. And I've connected with a lot of people. I've gotten clients from YouTube. So I want to continue doing that. But I think live streaming, as daunting as it may be to some creators, because you're live and you're catching all the fumbles and everything else that's happening, all the tech issues sometimes that occurs, but you can always go back and number one, this is like work developing your chops, right? This is like improv. This is you kind of flowing and then doing it live, and then of course sharing it with you right now watching this and everybody in the replay, but you live and getting that feedback and then just vibing with it. You know what I mean? And then just chopping it up and then concising it into or making it more concise for a YouTube video. So that's what I'm doing is just putting it out there and then cutting it up in post-production and then publishing the more concise version of the video. So I'm really digging it right now. And I'm really excited. So I'm gonna flow. Doing somebody I don't. Okay, so Nick, I think this is you. Oh, DW, what's up, man? What's going on, buddy? Yes, it's Tuesday, but I found Mondays were our best day of the week for listens for my pod. DW, my man. First off, hope you're doing well. Miss you. I agree, which is the reason why I started when I relaunched my podcast. I'm actually launching it on Monday. I believe there was a study that showed Monday through Thursday were the most optimal times, actually Monday through Wednesday. And then publishing on Friday and the weekend are not the best times to publish podcast episodes. That was the latest research that I saw probably about a couple years ago. I don't think that's changed. I think the best time is definitely to publish your content early. And I schedule my content to come out early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning. That way, my international listeners can get access to it at their time. And then, of course, people here in the U.S., they can plug in and listen to no permission needed, shameless plug, on their commute to work or jog or whatever they're doing. So anyhow, yeah, man. Mondays work for me too as well. So, and I may do this on Monday. Who knows? I know this is a Tuesday, but Mondays are pretty busy with client work. So I think Tuesday is good. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see 1 second. Boom. Here we go. Yes, agree. When I was doing it daily, Monday through Thursday, excuse me, were the best times when we were going live at 6 p.m. before the health issues. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think those are definitely the best times, Monday through Thursday, which is a great tip for any of you who are launching a podcast. If you are launching a podcast anytime soon, consider going either Monday through Wednesday, publishing an episode. I think you'll definitely gain the most traction there. Okay, cool. Awesome. DW, man. Great to see you here, buddy. And great. Hope you're doing well. And we got to connect soon, my man. It's been a crazy. So January has been like a busy month. I talked about this in the live stream. Like it was the first month of 2022 was just me focusing on getting this podcast relaunched. So I was really deep in the trenches. Didn't really go out to any social events or anything really. No social life, and I was just focusing on this in addition to serving my podcast clients. And then and this month has been basically launching the podcast and getting my content creation output out, a lot more consistent. So that's what I got going on, which is the reason why I'm showing up today. So thanks again. Okay, so let's do this. Let's make this happen, y'all. Okay, we're gonna do something different, and let me know how it is. Nobody's complaining about my audio, so apparently audio and visual is good, right? Okay, cool. So today I'm going to be talking about how to build podcast culture. So if you are frustrated with your podcast download numbers, if you find yourself feeling like nobody is listening to your podcast, this is something that I feel you'll get a nugget or two, and I'm hoping that you implement just one thing that I mentioned um, during this presentation with your podcast, and I believe that it will grow. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you that it will grow because I do this with my clients. Um, the average podcast racks up about 100 and I believe it was 141 downloads within the first 30 days. So that's about maybe 32, 33 downloads per episode. So the noisiness out there, especially now in this podcasting space, it's gotten super competitive, right? And I think now we're all vetting for listenership and really cultivating an audience. I think a lot of people get into this mindset of autopilot, producing the content, releasing podcast episodes without being mindful of what they're really trying to do is grow a podcast with a real audience that are going to show up consistently, that are going to be excited, raving super fans to ready to plug into your episode when it drops, right? And I think a lot of people as podcasters, we negate that. I think we just negate the importance of really building culture. And it's important for us to be able to establish that and go into the podcasting space knowing that this is not about us, it's about serving our community, which is the reason why. Let me go and bust it out, y'all. Bang! Can y'all see that? Let me know if you can see it. I think you can see it. Okay, so that is a little slide deck that I got for you. Podcasting plus culture. And I felt compelled to do this again because I see, and you may be struggling right now, right? So if you are struggling right now with your podcast audience, which is a common question you see a lot online, right? You go on a bunch of Facebook groups, and what's one of the common questions aside from what's the best mic? The other question is, how can I grow my audience? And it all begins here, guys, because in order to build culture, you have to build your foundation. And I believe that the podcaster that understands this, that understands that it's important to keep the listener in mind, wins the game, period. Right? Okay, so I'm going to share this with you because some of you may or may not know. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ozeal. Just a little brief Twitter introduction. I am a podcaster, host of the show No Permission Needed. I'm also a podcast consultant. I work with coaches and creators and business leaders on helping them master the mic, master their message, and platform their business and what they do via podcasting. I'm also a community leader. I take great pride in culture. I definitely practice what I preach. I'm the founder of Pod Houston and Vid Houston. Pod Houston, shout out to Pod Houston. I see you. Pod Houston is a community I started about 5 years ago as a meetup, and we've been hosting in-person events, and now we've been doing some virtual, which we're going to be going back to live events soon. So I've been really focused and invested in community and building culture, even outside of my podcast. So, I'm going to share with you 5 ways to build a podcast community. So here is a picture of the Pod Houston crew. This is back in 2017. This is a group of us that we hosted an event. This event was very memorable. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one, and all of them. But this one was definitely memorable for many reasons. Anybody who attended this event knows. But it was a lot of fun, and this is something that I'm really just take great pride in with Pod Houston and building community. So, number one of the things that you should consider when you start a podcast, and some of you may have heard this before, I'm sure, but I want to go ahead and reintroduce this because I believe in repetition, right? And a lot of times you hear it, but sometimes you don't implement, or sometimes you just forget about the importance of it. So, podcasting, identity matters when you launch a podcast. We've heard, who do you want to serve, right? Do you understand your listeners' ambitions, their pain points? Do you understand who they are, where they're hanging out at, right? And also, like, what are your core values? And I want you to answer these questions, and I want you to think about this and write them down. And maybe you can put it in the Pod Houston group because I would like to know, like, who do you want to serve? And of course, what are your core values? Now, for me, I wrote down my core values are it's leadership, right? It's community, it's diversity, it's growth, and then it's also honesty, just being honest and being vulnerable and open with my audience. And also, what is the single message you want your podcast platform to deliver? This is challenging, especially for a lot of lifestyle podcasts out there. They want to appeal to a lot of people. They have a bunch of topics, and it's all good. There's room for that. If that's a podcast that really pulls your strings and you really want to share a bunch of topics, that's great. However, it's hard to really build community around that. The only way to that I've seen it successful, and even now in 2022, is that if you're super entertaining or you got some serious marketing chops to get the show out and you're doing some creative things to market the show. But I'm always challenging my clients, and I'm challenging you today. What's the single message you want your podcast to deliver? And being super crystal clear about that is very important in growing culture and growing a community. So, what am I talking about here? Okay, so creating a niche, right? We talk about building brand, right? This is foundational stuff here. So, when you launch a podcast, if you are starting a podcast right now in 2022 on entrepreneurship, it's gotten really competitive. There's a lot of entrepreneurial shows out there, a lot of interview-based entrepreneur podcasts. But what if you even niche it down, right? What if you even went creative entrepreneurs, right? Or like in the fitness industry, fitness for stay-at-home moms. If you're doing a podcast on health, what about niching it down to brain health? Or if you're doing a niche around hip hop, what about Christian hip hop? So getting really specific and niching it down really helps in honing in on your message. And also it makes your content a whole lot easier to create and maintain, focusing on specific niches. And that's how you really could create a culture now in 2022. When there's a lot of general podcasts out there, I think if you can go narrow instead of broad, I think it could be helpful in helping you build a community. So let me know, by the way, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to take a sip. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what do you think so far? Let me know some of the takeaways. If you've answered some of the questions, drop it in the chat. Take a little tea break. Let me know if you feel me. All right, cool. Let me know. And of course, if I miss your comment, I'll make sure that I'll post it and share it towards the end. All right. So the other thing, number 2, ladies and gents, is extend the conversation online and offline. Okay, so we're talking about turning your listeners into members of a movement here. How can we create culture? How can we create a movement of real raving fans? I think this is very, very important. And one way you can do this is, and I'm gonna talk about amplifying the vibe with your tribe, is if you have a podcast, start a Facebook group or Discord for your listeners. Have a place where your listeners can hang out and have conversation amongst themselves, and you can ask questions. You can encourage interaction, get feedback, questions, and really build that culture within that community, within that group. And I think that's just a great way to, again, take the conversation online. You're taking the conversation online, period, but also bringing it to a different platform where you can connect with them on a more intimate level. And I've said this before, and you probably heard this many times from a lot of coaches out there, but the power of an email list. I'm recently subscribed to a few email lists from some content creators, and every single time they go live, they let you know. Okay, because we're busy. We're busy right now, and I think a lot of podcasters, and you may be doing this too. I know I do this sometimes. We undermine our audience, and we don't really think about their busy life. And I think if we just make sure that without being spammy, we let them know, hey, we're here, that we're going live at 11 a.m. We're doing this event tonight, and letting them know through an email list, or, you dropped a new YouTube video or new podcast episode. Like, for example, every single time you drop an episode, you should email your audience first thing and say, hey, what's going on? Nick just dropped a brand new podcast episode. Here's a little story. And then, of course, give us some meat. Don't just say, hey, here's a podcast episode. Check it out. Here's the link. None of that. Okay. Yeah, that's a great start. Okay. I'm going to give you props for that. I'm going to give you a little point for that. But if you really want to take it a step further, give them some context. Let them know, hey, because you're part of this community, I just want to let you know that I dropped this brand new podcast episode. In this episode, you'll learn, and give them maybe 3 to 5 points, key points, takeaways that they'll learn. And also kind of dig into a story, something that they won't see on Facebook or on Instagram or anywhere else, and say, this is a moment in my life where, during my childhood, where I was, I discovered myself. And like recently, like I talked about a childhood moment. And it was a very, I was just open, I was very vulnerable, and I was very open about this one moment that I had as a fourth grader playing softball. And it was just like, I shared it. So I shared a little bit of that in the newsletter, and, I gave it some meat, and people really dug into that. So that is what's happening real quick. Okay. So I'm going to pause here because I want to show you some love, because I know you're here and I appreciate you. Nick, what's up? Nick again. This is the one piece of advice that I've struggled with: having a niche, not having a broad range of discussions. At this point, it's yet to be determined whether me trying to have a broader audience is hurting us. For me, my goal is, I think the second part, Nick, to do the best I can and see what happens. Nick, I've listened to your podcast. You guys are a very entertaining group of podcasters. A lot of great content, great interviewing. Your audio quality is solid, but it's very kind of like radio-ish. Gives me that kind of radio vibe. You guys do what's happening in the news type of thing, which is awesome. Like, you guys do a great job. Naomi does a fantastic live read. I mean, she's awesome. All of you are. And the challenge when you go broad is that, you'll lose people. Like, you really got to market that show. However, I feel like if you go local, I think the way you can do it is if you go narrow on, like, in the Deer Park area, and let them know, like, you are entertaining podcasts in that local area. I think if you establish, and dominate that lane, I think that can really serve. And I think that's where you can build community and culture there within your local environment. I think that's the way to go. But to build it on a grand scale, like, you have to put some marketing, umph to it, really market the show. But you gotta, it's just so tough. It's so tough to do it. But yeah, the more narrow, the better. But I've also seen a lot of podcasters that are broad, but again, they have some, either they're super, super entertaining, or just outrageously different, they have a zag to the podcast, or they are putting some marketing dollars behind their podcast. But I love the idea. Like, if you're watching this and you're like, man, I want to start a podcast, it's pretty broad. I know, people are saying niche it down, there's riches in the niches and all that. But if you don't have, I'm all about starting. So if you don't have a niche nailed down, then start the podcast anyway, and the market will tell you where to go. Like they'll tell you, like, nah, we're not really feeling this. We're doing something else. And I'm going to share with you, Nick, a different tip, something I use, a strategy that I use to be able to get feedback, direct feedback from your audience to kind of help you curate the content and then create the content that's actually landing with people. I think it's very important. So hopefully, and we'll get to that in a bit. Okay, so sorry. What's up, Jesse? Sorry, I'm late. I've been working on setting up some LED lights. I need some LED lights like that, like on my wall, bro. Like I'm very like this is very simple. I'm going very minimal at my background, Jesse. So if you want to go ahead and want to hook my background up, bro, come on over. I'll send you my address. Got to let the listener know what's in it for them. Exactly, Jesse. Look, man. We talked about this. You're an insider. Um, we let me go to address Jesse. th- you know, the listener, I think that's one of the biggest things. When people jump into podcasts, I think there's a lot of ego involved. Like, yo, like, my voice matters. My podcast, people are going to really dig it. And I get it. I mean, I really, really get it. And I promise you, I'm not going to go on a deep rant on this, but I can, maybe some other time. But here's a takeaway. When you create a piece of content, when you are about to record an episode, ask yourself that number one question is, what is in it for them? Like Jesse just said. What is in it for them? Why should they care? Even with my podcast, like I'm very mindful, like I'll share a story, but in that story, like towards the end, I'll say, I'll share something that they can take away. And sometimes I feel guilty. In my podcast recently, they've been very short form pieces of content, but it's almost kind of like you want to keep even the story concise because people dig the stories, but you want to make either something tactical or something that they can implement, and you bring the question and the challenge back to them where they can implement something that's going to benefit them in their life. And I think it's very important. A lot of people go into it ranting or rambling or not really putting context to the content, and they're not doing anything to elicit and to bring out good conversation. It's just like me. Like, this is my thoughts, this is my ideas, this is what I should do. Hire me. And I get it. It's so easy to fall into the marketer trap. But if you keep it about the audience, in the beginning, it's going to take some time, but the more and more you do it, the more people will gravitate towards your message, and they'll say, "Hey, Jesse, Nick, they're real people. Like, they really care about the content, and they're surveying us. They're asking us questions. They're getting feedback, and they're making the adjustments." So I think it's important for us as content creators, period, is to be mindful of what is in it for them. It's not about you. Like, I was recently listening to a podcast, and it was really all about them. And bless him. Like, it was, he was trying to make a message and trying to do something like to inspire other people. But when it came down to it, it was really all about him, and nobody in our community, by the way. It was somebody who from a different community who wanted some feedback. And I was like, man, it's not going to really, like, it's great. I know you're fulfilling your ego, or maybe fulfilling what you need to express, which again, I'm not ignoring that, but it has to be about the listener. Okay. With any piece of content creation. You feel me on that? Or did I scare you guys? And then somebody dropped, I think this is you, Nick. I don't disagree with you at all. That's great advice you've given us. Yes, Nick, I think that's you, my man. Cool. Yeah, man. You guys are crushing it though. Great pod. Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and move forward. Again, it's all about amplifying the vibe with your tribe. Create platforms, spaces where you can invite them over and they can connect with you online and offline. We'll get to that in a bit. So, number 3, VIP every listener. Okay. Now, this is something I learned from my buddy who I had the honor of interviewing a long time ago, Derek Sivers. If you guys have ever heard of Derek Sivers, he is the ex-founder of cdbaby.com. And he was a mentor of mine early on when I started the podcast, about 8 years ago. I was an indie musician, and he really helped me um, with a lot of things, with personal development, but also how to create a platform and how to invest in community. And one of the things that he mentioned, Derek, was, you treat everybody like they're VIP. And when I first connected with Derek, and he was a big timer, influencer at that time, and he still is, author, successful, multi-million dollar business. And he was very like he would answer all of his emails and responded to all of the tweets. And when I saw that, I was like, man, this is crazy because he's so busy, but he's taking the time out to reply to my questions, answer my questions, and just and connect with me. And I think he was my third interview on my podcast. So here it was, little old me, new podcaster, and he agreed to be part of my podcast journey early on. So he believed in me, and that always stuck out to me. He's like, you treat everybody like they're VIP. I truly believe that. And he has a massive blog following, and people are always commenting. And it's just because he is always taking time to answer questions and really connect with his tribe. So, how can we, just like on a micro level, how can we connect um, on a deeper level with our community? How can we at VIP our members? So one of the things that I do, if you guys notice, if you're part of the Pod Houston community, is if you have a Facebook group, welcome members every single time they join in. That's one thing that I do every single time is welcome members. Just something small like that. Acknowledge them, say, hey, share your story, share your podcast, welcome them in, make them feel like they're VIP. The other thing is, if you have a podcast, if you get a podcast review, Apple review, give him or her a shout out at the beginning of every episode. Like show them some love, on a live stream, on a podcast episode. Again, make them feel like they're VIP. Also, email your listeners occasionally with free, valuable content. What I've done in the past is I've done like exclusive books, ebooks. I've done exclusive audio mixtapes, PDF files, something that they don't expect that is exclusive to the newsletter. I've done that many, many times, and they definitely appreciate that. The other thing you can do is, create an episode where you address them by name. You know, I know I like it when other creators, when I'm joining other people live and they're mentioning my name and they're showing love. Like I appreciate that. I really do. And that's one of the things that I always coach my clients is that if there's somebody out there, if you're doing a live stream, if you're doing something like a podcast episode, address them by name. Make them feel special. They will appreciate that. I know I'm not alone. I love to hear my name when somebody I'm joining a live and they're like, yo, Ozeal, what's going on? I love that. Like that makes you feel really, really good, right? So again, it's all about the soft touches. They may not seem a lot, but the nuances of making somebody feel like they're part of your tribe goes a long way. Okay. So do not, okay, podcasters, creators, do not ignore a listener, a viewer. Always show love, always show appreciation. Be grateful that they're taking time, like I am right now. Super grateful that I have you watching this, right? Because there's a ton of stuff happening in your life right now. And time is, as they say, time is money, but to me, time is priceless moments that you are investing in. And I appreciate that. The fact that we're live and we're vibing, I mean, I appreciate that more than anything. So anyhow, so again, live streaming, Q&A, community vibing, like make them VIP, every single member of your tribe. All right. Feel me? What's going on, y'all? How you feeling out there? I'm gonna take another tea break. Look at this little smiley face. Yeah, it's cute. Little smiley face. I'm drinking what kind of tea is this? Green tea, I think. Is it jasmine? I think. I love tea. I've been getting into tea. Anybody drinking teas these days? Do you guys like tea? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. What do you drink? What do you drink in the morning? Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Vibing, y'all. Vibing. Cool. Let's proceed. So number 4, live and amplified. All right. Are you down with P2P? Podcaster to people? I was thinking of hold on one second, guys. Okay, I was thinking of the Naughty by Nature song. What is it? Down with OPP? Are you down with Peter P? Yeah, you know me. Are you down? Okay. Anyways, cheesy. Sorry about that. I have to throw some cheesiness every now and then, guys. Gotta keep it fun. Okay, so there you go. Somebody says, "Yo, Nick, excuse me. I like drinking the smells like middle-aged spirit bourbon caramel cold brew." Yo, is that official? Like, is that like your official cold brew? Because I thought I saw it recently. I saw something online, and they look amazing, bro. So like, send me a cup, man. Let me know. Send me something. Where can I get that? I want some smells like middle-aged spirit bourbon caramel cold brew. Wow, that's a mouthful, man. Hook it up, man. That sounds amazing. You know, I love bourbon, by the way. So little shameless plug. All right, okay, all right. Come on, man. Bring it, dude. Bring it. I want to try it out, man. It's unfortunate that you guys didn't have it when I was on the show. Sad. So you have to hook me up, man. Jesse Curtis, gotta have my coffee every morning. Jesse, do you drink it black or with sugar and cream? Tell me. I want to know, man. I want to know. I've been lately on black coffee lately. I go through like different things. I drink with half and half and 3 raw sugars. But lately I've been doing black coffee. So I could do both though. But black coffee gets me going though. That's what I had earlier today. All right, cool. So let's keep it moving. So down with P2P. So we're talking about live and amplified. And here's what we need to do here, y'all. If you are a podcaster, organize a meetup centered around your podcast niche. I think it's so underrated. And I get why creators, podcasters don't want to do a live event or a meetup because it takes work. Trust me, I know. I've done many of them. But I think if you go and take it an extra step, and it's not a podcast event that's centered around your podcast, but if you just bring people together of like minds, right? So Nick, if you did like a Deer Park event with people that you know, right? Because you know your audience, right? You know who you are serving, right? You know what the things that they're into, you know, if they're business owners, certain age, and bring them together. You can sell your cold brew, you know, have that as a sponsor, you know, hook them up as they walk in, have somebody giving them a cold brew, bourbon caramel, you know, but creating a little live event, even if it's at a coffee house, I think will be great. Sponsored by Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit. So I think it's so underrated. I think it's such an underrated marketing tactic that I wish more podcasters could do like live podcasting. And then you could do like a live podcast and interview people. And that's just such a great way to bring awareness to your podcast, especially locally. So I think that's a beautiful tactic. So smart to do if you're a podcaster and to build culture around what you do. And again, I said not, don't create an event to promote, but just to connect, right? To tribe up. Super important. Again, your podcast could be the sponsor. I dropped that in there. So again, I think that's super underrated. And I would love to see more podcasters make that happen. Okay. Organize an event centered around your people, your podcast, and then have your podcast be the sponsor of the show. Okay. You're a host. You're bringing guests to your show. You're bringing different ideas. You're sharing thoughts, right? You are curating content to entertain, to educate, to edify. Shout out to Brian Little, your people. And if you create an event that's offline, because I think now it's, even with the live streaming and all that, there's the virtual. I mean, there's always going to be a space for virtual events, for live streamers. But I think if you go live, like in person, I think people are craving that human connection now. And if you just did again like a meetup, I think it'll go a long way. I think it'll help promote and bring awareness and bring people closer to what you are trying to accomplish with your podcast. You dig that? So Nick was talking about working on this. Love the idea. We're trying to join the local dude. Yes. Like you should have done that like yesterday, bro. Join the Chamber of Commerce. it's super important, man, to be a part of that, to let people know that you are like the local voice, for all things news and the thing that you're trying to do with the podcast. So yes, definitely do that. And I think it'll help with building brand awareness and culture around your podcast. Jesse, you dropped in here real quick. Mine's got to taste like candy. Don't like bitter too much. Yeah, bro, I know, man. I know exactly what you're saying, bro. Like sometimes I fight the black coffee taste. I love it when it's like freshly brewed and it's made correctly. Because I'm not sure about you, but I make it with the French press. And I love the pour over, by the way. But man, you really got to know. Like, apparently, it's like the temperature of the water. It's like how much coffee you put in, and I mean, there's like a true real science. Shout out to all the baristas, by the way, because I mean, it's a true science, true art form to make a good cup of Joe. Seriously. So what I end up doing most of the time is I make it with half and half and add raw sugar and make it sweet, just because I like sweet things. Definitely have a sweet tooth. So, but I know black coffee is like that's my natural pre-workout, mix. So once I add some, black coffee and I'm in the gym, I'm beasting it, man. So I feel you on that. Okay, so Jesse, you added here. French press is always the way. Exactly. Yeah, if you can get it. But I definitely like my French press, man. Made one earlier today. Cool. So number 5. Here's a big one. Be you. Be you. Be 100 with your listeners. Take your listeners on a journey and be transparent as possible. And what do I mean by that? And let me know if you feel me on this, because I know everybody online will says, "Oh, yo, you got to be authentic. You got to be, true to yourself." And I get it. Yes, you do. But what does that really mean? Being authentic. Shouldn't you be authentic because you're you? And the answer should be absolutely. You should definitely be you all the time. But what's happening right now? In this new era of social media, people feel a need to be somebody they are not. And I don't know about you, but I prefer being felt than seen. You feel me? Like I can go on Instagram and post pictures of myself all day, or on Facebook, and look at me, look what I'm doing. And I get it. It's part of the game. But the way you make people feel you is simply being the real you. So it's a challenge with a lot of my coaching clients when they're struggling to be aligned with their voice and their personality. It's challenging, right? Because again, many of us didn't go to broadcasting school. Many of us don't have formal training to be comfortable behind the mic or in front of the camera. And I've been challenged by this before, for sure. I think it's quite common, and to be completely transparent with you, it's something that I'm still getting comfortable with, especially with my podcasts. I used to interview people on my podcast. It was an interview-based podcast. But taking this approach, I'm sharing more of myself and leaning into more of the personal brand, which I talk about often. Leaning into my personal brand allows me to amplify my superpower, which I'm trying to build up, which is vulnerability and transparency and being who I am. And it's not as easy as people may think. So my message to you, fellow podcaster, is, don't deplete the best version of yourself and sacrifice that voice to appease others. Period. And the more you put in reps, the more you get comfortable behind the mic. And let me I'm trying to get like practical. Like, what does that mean, right? Let me see if I can even like land the plane with this. when it comes to like your voice, when it comes to you being you, like I see a lot of people try to be like, yo, Gary, yo, what's going on? I see a lot of it, right? And me being in the space, being involved in music and being involved in the entertainment industry, and you as well, right? Like I think content creators undermine the intelligence of consumers, of listeners and viewers. Like we know when they're faking the funk. And you know when they're really being uncomfortable, and you know when they're not really being themselves. And again, we're all going through it. We're all trying to peel back the layers where we're becoming the best versions of who we are authentically, right? And it takes time. It definitely takes time. I'm going through that with my podcast now, getting comfortable with my voice from a different shade, from a different perspective of creating content and sharing it with you. But you build culture and community. And let me just circle this around and see if I can land this. You build community and culture by simply being who you are. You will attract listeners and viewers when they see Jesse's vibe, when they see these, like, he's into like, nerdcore hip hop music, and he's into gaming and streaming, and he does what he does behind the mic, which sounds amazing. Or Nick, who has like a naturally gifted, like voice, content delivery, like it's impeccable. Like I love it, Nick. I'm a fan, and I'm speaking to you guys because you guys are watching this live, showing love, but I see people like that. And I see that within a few members of Pod Houston, members within the Pod Houston community. And then I see others that are really trying, hard. And if you haven't cultivated that culture and that community just yet, I'm telling you right now, don't give up. Like continue putting in the reps because I see it. One of my superpowers I'll take great pride in is seeing talent. I see talent. I remember being early on, like even back in my music days, saying, that band is going to blow up. No, it's not going to. Trust me, it's going to blow up. 10 times out of 10, they all blew up. Like they all blew up. Why? Because I see a certain zag. I see a certain pizzazz, a style. I see something that they bring to the table that if they stick with it, that they will shine and people will eventually gravitate towards too. Nick, you're one of them. Jesse, you're one of them. And I see a few that have a lot of potential. And I believe that we all have the ability to own our potential. But only when we become ourselves, when we stop depleting ourselves from the best version of yourself, that's when the magic happens. And that's when you build culture. That's when you can really build an audience. Sure, there's a performance aspect to this, right? There's a certain energy that you have to express to deliver that content, to deliver that message. But it's not perfect. Like when I listen to podcasts that are like NPR style, I'm like, dude, that's just so whack. Like that's whack to me. Like I hear, like to me, the most polished podcast, and I get it. There's an entertainment, true crime and all that. But boy, do I love seeing somebody fumble and stutter and be themselves and be goofy and be corny. Like you're down with P2P, corny like that. I love it when people lean into that because that's when I see the true essence and the spirit of podcasting is when podcasters become people. They become themselves. Like it's real. And it's not broadcasting and it's not super polished. You feel me? So I'm landing the plane. It's taking a while, but I'm flowing here because I think this is a true lesson that I want you to catch this and really run with it. Whether you catch it on the replay or on YouTube or on LinkedIn, I'm telling you, not that many people are really talking about these coaches. I'm not talking about rocking the mic. And showing podcasters, community members, clients, how to be themselves and how coaching them into leaning inward into their voice is imperative to having a successful podcast. So for those watching, and if you feel like you haven't gotten comfortable with your voice, continue putting in the reps. Get feedback. Get a friend. I'm going to be doing podcast audits, by the way, next month in March. It's my March Madness promo. But I'm going to be doing podcasts on it. If you're interested, hit me up. But I'll give you honest feedback. I've actually had a few already that reached out to me and said, yo, this podcast ain't, I'm not really growing. I really don't, there's no community behind this. Like, what am I doing wrong? And first, I give them props for being like, yo, thanks for putting your ego aside and for giving me the opportunity to blast you. No, I'm just kidding. No, to really give you some constructive feedback on how we can make this podcast better, because I want to see everybody succeed. And I believe that there's space and room for everybody to have a successful podcast. But there's a lot of podcasts out there these days, and it's gotten noisy, but there's not enough podcasts that are really authentic and they're not really bringing the real, period. True story. I see it all the time and I hear it all the time. So yeah, let's stop faking the funk and let's start rocking the mic and let's start being who we are. And let's stop with the broadcast voice. And that's all. Be you, man. Be you. That's what I'm saying. Just be you. All right, let's share. What do you guys think? The plane has landed. Facebook's Nick. To me, it means not acting like you're better than your audience. Yes. It means letting them know that you are flawed. It means being able to laugh at yourself from time to time. 1000%. Nick, I think that's you. Again, just embracing the ums and the ahs and the flaws and the fumbles and the cheesiness and laughing at yourself and sharing the tech issues that are happening and all that. So this is what's happening. This is live stream. This is happening, and I'm here to share it with you. I have nothing to hide. I think people appreciate that, and I think that's the reason why live streaming has been so attractive, because people do see the content creator going into it raw and uncut. It's not so much polished. They're not uploading it and editing it so you can hear like all the perfections. So boom. I got you, Jesse. Jesse says, but what if your voice is the broadcast voice? So Jesse has a golden voice. He has like a naturally broadcast voice. Jesse, that's your voice, bro. Like that's who you are. I love it. Jesse and Nick does. Nick, you too. Like both of you have like broadcasting voice. But when I hear a broadcasting voice, yeah, you hear like, hey, welcome to the show. But you guys like really bring style to it. Like you have your own style to the voice. So if it's your voice, Jesse, which it is, because I know you, then it's you, man. It's your voice. It's who you are, bro. Because you bring it all the time. All the time. Own it, man. I'm a fan. Nick, I got you, Nick. All right. So anyhow, guys, and I'm going to go ahead and just drop this on you as far as like just cultivating the connection. Some tips here, give them a video tour of your podcast. I think I really like when podcasters are sharing pieces of their studio or their setup and their journey through via video, whether it's a live stream or on YouTube. Share with your audience, some ideas and plans for your podcast. I think allowing them into the process, documenting it, is something that we as content creators could do that they will appreciate that for, or they will appreciate that even more if you're bringing them on the journey. Again, you grow listenership by simply caring about the connection between you and the listener. So the more you connect, the more you care about caring about what they want to hear, and some of their pain points and ambitions and dreams. That's how you can really build and cultivate culture. And again, I talk about, going behind the scenes, humanizes the journey and platform you're building for them. So yeah, I'm all about just humanizing, right? I talk about this in previous presentations where I say, hey, if you humanize the journey, if you humanize what you do, people will gravitate towards you, because you are who you are. It goes back to just being you, right? So that is that. So again, guys, thank you so much for this. I feel like it went all over the place. Hopefully, did you? And I'm going to chop this up. This is like raw and uncut, right? And we're live streaming. But did any of that resonated with you? What do you guys think? Let me know. Nick, Jesse, where you at, man? Let me know what you think. And of course, if you catch this on the replay on Facebook, please give me some feedback and let me know what you thought about the live stream. Yeah, baby. Facebook. So Nick, this has been a great reminder. I got to run. I love you guys. I'll get y'all there. Cool. Absolutely. See you soon. Peace. Nick, great seeing you, brother. All right. So we are back. Okay. Officially closing this out. What time is it? Ooh, good hour. Nice. Okay. So, guys, everybody who tuned in, ladies and gents, thank you so much for checking out this live stream. Hopefully there was some takeaways here, some reminders, keeping you moving, and keeping you mindful of growing your audience and focusing on what matters, right? Is your people, your listeners. So please leave me again some feedback in the comment section. It'll be posted. The condensed version will be posted on the YouTube channel Podcast Influence, and of course on LinkedIn as well. And also a little shameless plug and a huge favor: if you have not checked out my podcast, no permission needed, go check it out. Would greatly appreciate a rating and review, and also tag me on social media at Rio Ozeal. And yeah, let me show you some love on a podcast episode. I will mention your name in your podcast if you do that. So it's all about love. I practice what I preach, y'all. I practice what I preach. And of course, if you are interested in being a part of an amazing podcast mastermind, head over to podinfluence.com. We are opening up for enrollment for new members. We have an awesome circle of podcasters, creators that are in there that are really driven and are all about growing their podcast platform. And we meet, as a matter of fact, we're meeting this Thursday, which I'm really excited about. Those are my favorite, the accountability sessions. We're meeting this Thursday. And then our next mastermind is in a couple of weeks. And it's going to be with Tanya Daka, she's going to be talking about the importance of copywriting and sharing some tips and strategies on how we can really up our game with the copywriting and writing solid headlines for our podcast episodes. So please join podinfluence.com and check it out. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and holler at me. All right. So that is it, my friend. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a ton of fun. Felt like it was different. I did some slides, which was a little different for me. And, I decided to get away from the virtual background. Decided to just go solid white until I get a really cool background like Jesse Curtis, my friend out there. But other than that, this is basically my background. I'm going raw and uncut, y'all. This is the journey. We talk about documenting the journey. This is the journey until I set up my podcast studio, which hopefully will be moving out next year. So in the meantime, I'm going to be working out, maybe making this a lot nicer. I believe I can even add let me do this. Maybe this might be, can I do this? Oh, maybe not. Okay. See if I can add a background, but I guess I can't. Okay. I'm going to work on that. I'm still working through StreamYard, y'all. So bear with me. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much again for joining me live. Please leave a comment in the Pod Houston group. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you're working on. Some takeaways. And of course, everybody on LinkedIn, thank you for watching. Everybody on Podcast Influence YouTube channel, thank you so much. My name is Ozeal. Enjoy your happy 2-2-2. Yes, there you go. Yeah, happy Tuesday, y'all. All right, have a good one. Peace, one love, and thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon. Peace.